Hi there, I'm Katie Lynch here at the premiere of the new series Fosse, Verdon, starring Michelle Williams and Sam Rockwell, premiering on FX on April 9th. And we are going to catch up with the cast and creatives and all that jazz. You have really taken on one heck of a character.
Yeah, it's a lot.
What was it like for you to really dig in, and what unlocked this character of Bob Fosse for you?
You know, that's a good question. It was a lot. It was a big undertaking, and every day was a challenge. You know, Michelle said early on, we can never relax. We're going to always have to stay on top of this. And she was right. We could never quite relax. It was always really, you couldn't like just coast. You had to kind of, you know, step up.
Which was him too.
Yeah, I mean, it was his personality. Yeah, it was brutal. I'll be honest with you. It was intense. It was challenging.
And what's the most interesting thing that you learned?
It's also 4 movies, you know, that's another thing. It's essentially 4 independent movies.
Quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
Your ears must be burning because everyone has been talking about you all night, and honestly talking about Gwen Verdon and how special it is to see her story really brought to light. What was it like for you to really step into those dance shoes?
Well, she was such a special woman. People that I would talk to that had known her while she was alive, the thing that I just heard over and over again, she was the kindest woman. Like, that was, aside from being the greatest Broadway dancer of her time and of any time, she also, like, the legacy that she left was of generosity. And all of these dancers would come up to me and say, oh, Gwen taught me. Oh, Gwen took me by the hand. Oh, Gwen cast me in my first job. Oh, Gwen got me a bathtub because she heard that I didn't have a bathtub, and she said, oh, all dancers should have bathtubs. So she was really like a beautiful soul.
Isn't that what we all kind of wish?
That's really the legacy that you want to leave. If you can't be the greatest Broadway dancer of all time, you should try being the most generous and kind person of all time. So, yeah, she was beautiful.
Sam Wasson's a buddy of mine from college. I used to play piano for his improv group, and he wrote a book on Fosse. And I loved his first book on Breakfast at Tiffany's, and I was like, oh, this one's bigger. Sorry, I'm making faces at all the Broadway people in line in front of me. I just couldn't believe how beautifully he structured it, and I put it in Tommy Kail's hands, and then we were kind of really off to the races once Nicole Fosse got involved, because she is the source of his vocabulary. The movement of this was a language that she and her mother Gwen and Bob spoke at home, and so to have access to that kind of source meant we were off to the races to really tell this story in a beautiful way.
Well, you realize that you are also doing that for your children.
What?
You're also doing that for your children.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is the fact that, like, to me, these are superhero origin stories. Like, the story of Gwen Verdon, the story about Fosse, they are superheroes in our world here on 45th Street, outside the Show and Tell Theater. They're superheroes to us, and the world should know that. The world should know more than, like, Robin Williams doing it in the birdcage. You know, it's a real legacy they've left behind.
You know, I think for me, the thing that really finally began to open this story up, you know, we started with Sam Wasson's incredible book, Fosse, which is just an amazing biography. But the thing that really cracked it open was Tommy Kail and I, the director, met with Nicole Fosse, Bob and Gwen's daughter, and we spent some real time with her. And in doing that, and she's here tonight, in doing that and talking to her, it's when we realized that this story had to be about the two of them, that the idea of just telling it about Bob just wasn't the full story, and actually wasn't the most interesting part of it. So that, for us, was like the thing that unlocked it. You know, before that, I think we were sort of floundering around.
Really complicated relationship. They were very complicated guys, and Fosse Verdon really is Bob Fosse and Gwen Verdon. Patty Chayefsky in this story is largely a friend that he uses to sort of process things with, somebody who sets him straight every once in a while when he kind of loses his way. But in actuality, Fosse and Chayefsky, they loved each other, but they could tell each other to, you know, F off, and they could say, that's a piece of crap that you just made, you can do better than that. And they were truth tellers to each other, and they also cracked each other up. So they had this really, really beautiful, honest relationship.
You know, it's such an interesting story. To me, I mean, Bob Fosse is legendary. I'm one of the few people involved that actually met Bob Fosse, except for his daughter met him. But when I just started in like '82, I was barely in the business, and I went up for an audition in some movie that I was not right for at all. And he spent like a half an hour talking to me and asking me questions about the nightclubs I was playing in and standing. And I thought, geez, Bob Fosse's taking the time. And then, like, later that week, I get a handwritten note he mails to me. Pleasure to meet you. Wish I went, really? And I thought, I made a note. I'm going to try and be that menschy when I have a chance. Cut to, I've never written a note to anybody. However, it's still a goal. And the day is young. So I might send you a note to say thank you.
What was it like stepping into these shoes, these dance shoes?
Horrifying. I mean, amazing. The most awesome gift in the world, but horribly terrifying. I was extremely nervous, but then I realized I'm only going to fail. There is no way to be perfect at this, and that kind of gave me permission to let it all go and do my best. And I hope I did. I can't wait to see it. I have no idea.
Of all the people who, these characters that you're jumping into, you probably have one of the most recognizable, Chita Rivera.
To me, the most important. I feel so honored and humbled, and I have to attempt to portray her, and I have so much respect for her, so much love for Chita, and I have the good fortune to know her because of the show that brings us together, that connects us. And I reached out to her right away, and I said, so this is happening to me, and I'm trying to portray you in Fosse, Verdon. I need to take you out to dinner because I cannot do this without you.
Well, it was fascinating because I'd never met Hal Prince. And when I read his book and made a list of 25 people who had been so closely associated with me and him, it was very strange that we had never run into each other. And all the productions that I realized I had only seen one of his productions in my life. And when I went and met him, I confessed this, to which he said, "You bum." And he said, "I bet you haven't seen Phantom either, have you?" I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "That's because you're a snob, but that's all right."
Gwen and Joan were so close, and I think she sort of says to Gwen the same thing about being behind the scenes. She's like, "Yeah, look, my relationship works because I let him be the star, and you and Bob are he wants to be the star, but you're Gwen Verdon." And I thought that was so great. I mean, she's sort of the truth sayer in Gwen's life, and the person that Gwen can be most herself with and not perform with.
But we needed a good story to navigate us through, because if you just wanted to reach out there and grab choreography, he just touched so many things and affected so many styles, from way back in the Hollywood musical where he was dancing like Fred Astaire to a very broken picture that might come to life in a camera edit. He kind of accomplished everything. So luckily we were fine-tuned with a vision that said, just look right here right now. Don't look at these 100 things, just look at one. And that made a big difference.
Yeah, it was a privilege. It was a beast, as you say, but it was a real privilege. And we were saying before that it was also a lot of pressure to try to pay proper homage, and we did a deep dive into research. I mean, we researched Fred Astaire, we researched Jack Cole. I mean, Jack Cole was a huge influence on Gwen, and Gwen was a huge influence on Bob. So, I mean, you look at his early choreography, and it was very Jack Cole, I think. There was a lot of it.
You know what? Choreographers are also really inspired by music, and so we haven't been talking tonight, but music was a huge deal in his career, because he picked amazing pieces of music to choreograph to. So if we live with that music, that actually teaches us a lot about him as a choreographer.
I'm really excited for people who are not familiar with the Broadway world to be introduced to it, to learn about these two seminal legendary figures and the people that they rolled with, because they rolled with a dangerous crew, bro. So I'm really excited for people to be able to learn about the songs that they inspired and the shows that they're responsible for. I think that's really something that people are going to get a kick out of.